further. Suddenly there was a brilliant flash of light down below him. It was like swimming in a dark swimming pool. Then having someone turning on the light. The light was followed by a huge and terrible shockwave that had a concussion so strong that it almost killed Newton. Newton began to float down unconscious into the atomic cloud that was quickly rising up under him. Newton fell off right into it and began to vaporize, but right as Newton was about to die, his crew beamed him back aboard Mutania, and he recovered there. Since Newton helped Earth out by defeating an enemy that was threatening their existence, they began. Oh, wait a minute. Here. This next story I'm about to read is called The Black Mutant Attacks. My crew, how about a nice stop off on some planet and break the monotonous ship's work? We haven't had a day off in over 2 years, said Newton, slumped and stretched out in his throne. That sounds very good, but where in the galaxy is there a good place to rest on? Asked Sonia with boredom. Suddenly, as Mutania passed by a planet, a strange ray, followed by more rays, shot out behind the planet and surrounded Mutania. Newton shouted, Sonia, snap on shields. Obacoba, get to battle stations. Jack, just walk around. Newton's crew shouted back, Newton, the ship isn't responding. What? Newton shouted with wonder. Sonia said, those rays have completely paralyzed Mutania. I don't know how they did it, but not one control in the ship is working. Not one control in the ship is working. Not one control in the ship is working, including the life support. It looks like the ship paralyzer the Klingons invented a few years ago. Suddenly, around 500 spaceships came out behind the planet and circled Mutania with their weapons ready to fire. Mutania and its crew had never been so helpless. The leader who was in charge of this called Mutania and said, Newton, you have finally done it this time. You have extinct the Klingon and Romulan races and totally devastated all the planets. And you've totally devastated all the planets, outposts, neutral zones, and everything belonging to them. I know you think, well, the Romulans and Klingons were against the Federation, and they were, but you totally destroyed the Earth planet Colony 15 to oblivion. There was nothing left. What do you have to say for yourself? Newton, what do you have to say for yourself? Newton, since we finally have captured you with our new and improved ship Paralyzer, we are going to take you to one of the most populated planets in the universe and have you put to death for everyone to watch. Newton jumped up out of his royal throne and shouted, I never touched the Klingons or Romulans. Yeah. Just a minute. I've never touched the Klingons or Romulans. In a long time. And the last time I ever was on Earth, Colony 15, was 30 years ago, when they first explored that planet. I even didn't see the planet for a year, and plus, I helped Earth defeat that undersea empire a month ago. I just can't see why you think I attacked them like that. Newton's crew shouted, "He's telling the truth." The leader of the Starfleet shouted, then if he's telling the truth, what does this mean? Hit it, Hal. Suddenly something showed up on Mutania's viewing screen, so Newton and his crew could watch. It showed the Romulans under attack from something. Yeah, something was attacking the planets that they were on. Suddenly, a ship that looked exactly like Mutania approached the planet. The Romulans' satellite filmed it. Suddenly, Mutania fired a row of 5 strong photon torpedoes. The planet started being bombarded with them. The planet lit up and exploded. When the flashing light flickered out, all that was left was stars and the cold outer space. The next film showed Mutania fighting Klingon ships. Mutania started firing energy plasmas and phasers. Energy plasmas and phasers. After all the ships were destroyed, another film showed Mutania vaporizing all the Klingon planets with proton missiles. And the last film showed Mutania fire a proton missile toward Earth Colony 15. It hit the planet, the whole entire planet lit up like a sun and was gone. Well, Newton, what do you think of that? Newton shouted desperately, "That's a good trick. You're either using old film clips when I was attacking planets 20 years ago, or an imposter is using a ship like mine to have you all come and capture me. We are not doing any of that stuff. Plus, how could a spaceship be that strong? It would have to be your ship." A day later, Mutania was being towed across space and was headed toward the new and most populated planet in the universe. When Mutania was in the planet's orbit, they beamed Newton and his crew out of Mutania and down into the planet's prison. Newton and his crew found themselves in a room that had walls 10 feet thick, with the hardest steel in the galaxy. It was kryptonite steel from the planet Kryptonite, and there was no way Newton and his crew could escape. And on the planet, and in the universe, the whole galaxy was celebrating Newton's being captured. Especially someone who was reaching the solar system that Newton was being held on. Someone who had a spaceship just like Newton's. Someone who was once Newton's most favorite friend and now immortal enemy. That someone was the Black Mutant. The Black Mutant laughed hard. The Black Mutant laughed so hard that the statue of him that stood on top of his throne snapped off and crashed down on him. The Black Mutant stood up in his throne and stared crazily across the room and looked at the wall with his hideous yellow glowing eyes. His eyes started to squint, and he started laughing again. He slapped himself across the face with his artificial hand and stopped and stood up onto his throne again. He clapped his hands and yelled to his robot crew with a feeling of happiness, saying, "My crew, I have good news to tell you. I just found out that Newtin has been captured, and you know what that means." His robot crew said back mechanically from being programmed, "No, what does that mean?" "It means that I'm going to be the new Newton, the new terror of the universe. And thanks to Newton for cutting the population down over the years, I'll be able to rule the galaxy. I'll be able to rule the galaxy." The Black Mutant shouted excitedly. He flew over to his organ, ordered his robots to fix the statue of him, and fell down that fell down off his throne, and then started pounding wild, unorganized Bach music on the organ. And back on the planet that Newton was being held prisoner on, Newton was trying to figure a way out. Figure a way out. He had already put a dent in the wall from his fist, but his artificial limbs weren't charged up enough. Only half their capacity. Shirley asked, "Newton, is there any way we can escape?" "Not for me. We'll have to wait until they come to get us out and have us put to death before we can escape from this place." When Newton said those inspirational words, it only depressed his crew instead of cheering them up. Newton sat down in the corner of his cell, and started moving his fingers around on the floor of the prison. The leader of the planet was dancing around with joy. He just couldn't believe that he had captured Newton. It was like winning $1 billion to him. People were throwing confetti in the streets, and astronauts were writing their names on Newton's ship, like John Toe was here. People were even beaming aboard Mutania and making it into a museum of weird happenings. It looked like Mutania would never be the same again, or Newton for that matter. And as all the celebration was going on down on the planet was being approached by the Black Mutant ship Blacktania. And down on the planet, one of the scientists called up the leader and said, "President Wusso, a ship is approaching our planet at warp 6. President Wusso sat up in his seat and asked, "Isn't it an everyday UFO?" "No, it's a ship that looks exactly like Mutania," said the scientist frighteningly. "Mutania?" shouted the president with fear. Are you sure? We captured Newton and his ship is out in orbit, right?" "I hope so, but this ship looks exactly like Mutania." The president got a frightened look on his face, and he shouted, "I'm going to alert all of the Starfleet to form a blockade around the ship. If it doesn't identify itself, then I will have it destroyed." A few minutes passed, and around 50 ships were headed toward Blacktania. Most of all the spaceships that were left in the universe were going to protect the planet. The Black Mutant looked at the viewing screen and shouted, "So they want to play, eh? My crew, my wonderful robot crew, go to battle stations. It looks as though our hosts aren't going to be too friendly." A robot with a smashed-in face from the Black Mutant turned on the shields. It turned on the viewing screen. I turned on the deflector shields. Then a robot that was missing an arm and leg. Yeah. And another anger fit from the Black Mutant turned on the weapons control. The robot crew said, "Is there anything else the wonderful mighty master wishes?" "Just shut up and get ready," the robot saluted. Just shut up and get ready. The robot saluted, then went back to work. Suddenly, Suddenly, the Starfleet began to fire its paralyzer ray. The Black Mutant started shaking. Blacktania started shaking, but its shields held off the attack. "Fire photon torpedoes!" shouted the Black Mutant, firing photon torpedoes. Firing photon torpedoes. The robots repeated. Five photon torpedoes shot out of the ship and streamed out into space. The ships were hit. Blacktania fired its phasers, destroying 8 ships that shattered and exploded when the beams hit them. The President got the news back and was terrified at what was happening. And now Blacktania... the Black Mutant had freed itself from all the ships that carried the paralyzer ray. And now Blacktania was packing off the other spaceships. An hour passed, and every spaceship was destroyed. The planet's luck had just ended. President Wusso's little joys of laughter from capturing Newtin and his crew and the ship had now changed to little groans of terror. Blacktania entered the planet's orbit. The Black Mutant called the planet and said, "My name is Doug Davis, 1. I am now called the Black Mutant, but you can call me Mutant, since I am the mutant now. I am responsible for the deaths of the Klingon and Romulan races. Also, it was fun using Earth Colony 15 as target practice. There's something you have that I want. There's something you have that I want. I want to avenge Newtin and become ruler and king of the planet." When the Black Mutant said that, the President winced. The Black Mutant continued, "You also have been warned that if you don't let me rule, I will use the planet I want to rule as target practice." The President called up and said desperately, "You can avenge Newtin, but you can't rule this planet, I think. Who is this coward that says I can't rule this planet? Show yourself." "Show yourself," screamed the Black Mutant with fury. He pressed the button to the viewing screen, showing the President sitting down in his seat looking scared. "So the President doesn't want me to rule his planet, eh? I tell you what, Prez, I will challenge you to a fair duel with swords. If you win, then I leave the planet, and you stay President. But if I kill you, then you stay President." But if I kill you, then you stay President, then you stay President and stay ruler. The President was so frightened he didn't know what to do, but to say, I don't think I want to deal with you with that kind of fight." I tell you what, Mr. President, I will make you a deal you can't refuse. The President started shaking and asked, and just what kind of deal is that? Hey, well, if you don't fight me, then I will attack your planet and aim all of Blacktania's phasers into the heart of your planet. Into the heart of your planet. Into the heart of your planet's capital, making a big hole in the ground where you used to be. The Black Mutant started laughing. Suddenly the Black Mutant ship was hit by a row of missiles that the President stalled time for. The Black Mutant started ordering his robot crew around to fire at the planet, but Blacktania was hit again before it could fire. Drat that darn President, shouted the Black Mutant with anger. Blacktania was hit in the side by 5 more missiles, knocking it lopsided in space. Robots and mutant went crashing up on the sides of the walls as electrical fires began to spring up on the control panels. The Black Mutant flew to the robot's weapons station and began firing phaser balls at the planet, destroying the oncoming missiles before they totally did him in. Blacktania missed too and was hit again. Now half of the ship's controls were destroyed. The Black Mutant started pressing the buttons to the photon torpedoes. The planet was being bombarded now by the terrible energy balls. Cities were shattering here and there as a torpedo struck them. The mountains were becoming craters, and the Black Mutant just orbited around the planet, firing phasers and tearing up the planet's geography with them. A minute later, and the planet was in shambles. The sky was gray now, and the smoke was all over the planet. The President just laid in his seat, looking depressed. And on Blacktania, robots ran here and there, fixing the place up like a bunch of movie mannequins. The Black Mutant called the planet and said, "Hey, Prez, how about that deal I made with you that you can't refuse?" That you can't refuse. Oh, the President groaned and then fainted in his seat. When the President came to, he said, "Okay, I'll make the deal with you in an hour. At 6 o'clock tonight, we'll start our fight." "Great. And when I'm done, your men will bring me Newtin." The Black Mutant hung up. Suddenly the President became excited and shouted, "Newtin, that's it. The Black Mutant couldn't take Newtin, and since Newtin didn't do all those bad things, I could let him go and he could put the Black Mutant in prison." The President called the prison officials and shouted, "Release Newtin. He's our only hope of beating the Black Mutant." But you know the Newtin is a terrible, stupid mutant who has attacking tendencies, don't you?" said the prison official. "I don't think Newtin is like that anymore. He helped Earth out a month ago, and he seems to be doing more good than harm. Plus, if he is still a demon mutant, then we may be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. If he decides to fight the mutant." The President talked the prison keeper into it, and they freed Newtin and his crew and told the Newtin all about their plan. Half an hour passed, and Newtin and his crew and the President and his Ben were in the planet's White House. Newtin didn't know if he wanted to stick up for the people who were going to execute him or not, but the President said that he would let he and his crew go free. Plus, he might let Newtin be ruler of the planet. Newtin agreed. Now there was just 5 minutes until the Black Mutant would show up in the White House and duel it out with the President. The President was getting very nervous, with his heart pumping adrenaline all through his body. Everybody began to hide and get out of sight so Newtin could take the Black Mutant by surprise. Now there was just 1 minute before the mutant would show up. Newtin ducked down behind the President's royal seat and waited for it to show up. The President was pacing himself with a shaky movement throughout his body. A minute was up, and the evil black mutant could come any second now. The waiting was agonizing. The president just stood there with his eyes closed, shut. He was terror-stricken. Suddenly there was a big crash. The black mutant crashed down through the ceiling and landed right in front of the frightened president, about a foot away from him. The president almost fainted from the fright as the black mutant stared at him with his evil, yellow, glowing eyes piercing through his evil, leathery black skin. The black mutant laughed and said, "I'll give you a choice." He snapped his fingers. Two robots carrying anti-radiation swords walked into the room. The black mutant said, "We will either battle it out with fists and kicks, or we'll duel it out with anti-radiation swords. I think if I were you, I would pick the swords. Anti-radiation kills mutants like me. If it enters my body, that is." The president couldn't think of anything to say but "Abba dabba abba." The black mutant took off the president's glasses and said, "These glasses are funny. I used to wear glasses when I was 5 years old. People back then used to call me Mister." The black mutant dropped his glasses and stepped on them. He then picked them up and put them on without the lenses. Put them on with the lenses missing on them. The black mutant put them on and said, "Now I can see my childhood through these things. I can see the stupid little brats teasing me, saying that I would never become an astronaut." The president stared wildly at the mutant. The president stared wildly at the mutant as though he were staring death right in the face. The black mutant took off the frames to the glasses and asked the president if he would like his frames back. The president didn't know what to say. The black mutant suddenly screamed, "Are you stupid? I'm talking to you. You want your glasses back?" The black mutant had the president shaking violently. Yes, the president whimpered frighteningly. The black mutant said softly, "Do you like these glasses?" The president shook his head for yes. The black mutant smiled and evilly crumpled the glasses up in his hands, then said, "Do you know the first time I killed a man I was your age? About 30. It was a few years after I became a mutant. You know that?" "I can't hear you." The black mutant started shaking the president. "Speak up." The black mutant slapped the president, then left the president alone. "It's about time we started our fight, isn't it?" "Yes, it is. And since you didn't say anything, I'll throw the first punch." The black mutant pulled his fist back, then asked, "Oh, by the way, you would never hit a person with glasses on, would you?" Suddenly the black mutant received a strong punch to the side of the face that sent him flying up against the wall and sliding to the floor. "Oh, I would punch someone with glasses, yeah," said Newton. The black mutant got up dazed, with a surprised look on his face, and Newton said again, "All right, I can see what you do to frighten presidents, but how do you fight when they get a little bigger, yeah?" The black mutant was excited now. He could get his revenge on the president and on Newton also, who destroyed he and his ship a couple of years ago. "You mean like you, Newton?" "Yes, like me. I could whip you on all my born days, and I can do it now." The black mutant got up excitedly and evilly, saying, "My artificial limbs have been charged to their full extent, and the way your fist landed on the side of my face, I could tell that your artificial limbs were weak, because you haven't had a charge up in weeks." "That's right," said Newton. "But no matter how low on energy they are, I'll always